Snow was falling over Chicago like tiny pieces of glass. The streets glittered under yellow streetlights. It was Black Friday, the day Americans lost their minds for discounts. People ran, shouted, pushed carts through sliding doors. You could hear the noise even from the parking lot, like a storm made of voices and footsteps. Hit like, share this story, and subscribe. Because what happened next on this Black Friday night will shock you. Lisa Brown stood outside the Walmart entrance with her 2 kids. Her coat was old, the zipper stuck halfway. She held her phone tight, checking the list she had made the night before. "Mom," her son Eli said, his nose red from cold. "Do you think we'll get one this year?" Lisa smiled, though her lips trembled. "If we're lucky, baby." They said 50-inch TVs for $199. Behind her, someone shouted, "Doors are opening." The crowd moved like a wave. Lisa grabbed both her children's hands, Eli, 10, and little Maya, 6, and pulled them forward before they got crushed. Inside, it was madness. Shopping carts jammed the aisles. People yelled over boxes of air fryers and microwaves. A security guard tried to keep order, but nobody listened. The smell of coffee and sweat mixed with the sound of squeaking sneakers on the polished floor. Lisa's heart raced. She had worked double shifts at the diner all month. Every night she came home smelling like fries and grease. This TV was supposed to be her Christmas surprise for the kids. They never asked for much. They didn't even have cable. They just watched cartoons on her cracked phone. "Stay close," she said, as they weaved through the crowd. Eli pointed ahead. "Mom, TV's over there." Lisa's eyes lit up. She pushed faster, her breath sharp and warm in the cold air inside the store. The electronics section was chaos, empty shelves, open boxes, people dragging giant cartons like trophies. And then she saw the last 50-inch TV, sitting on a low shelf like a golden ticket. Her hands trembled as she reached for it. But someone else reached at the same time. It was an old man, gray hair, heavy coat, maybe 70 years old. He looked at her, surprised. "Oh," he said softly. "Were you going for this one?" Lisa hesitated. For a second, she saw her kids' faces. Then she saw his trembling hands, the deep lines under his eyes. He wasn't strong enough to fight the crowd. "Yes," she whispered, but people around them kept yelling. Someone almost knocked into Maya's shoulder. Lisa pulled her close. The old man smiled weakly. "It's all right, young lady. You can take it." "No," she said, before she could stop herself. "You go ahead." He blinked. "Are you sure?" Lisa nodded. "You were here too." "Go ahead." Eli frowned. "Mom, but that's the last one." Lisa crouched down. "I know, sweetheart, but sometimes kindness is better than things." The old man's eyes filled with tears. He touched her arm gently. "You're very kind. Not many people like you left." Lisa smiled awkwardly. "It's okay. Merry Christmas." He nodded, struggling to lift the box. A young employee came to help him. Lisa watched as they carried the TV away. Her heart sank. She tried to smile for the kids, but her chest felt tight. The store was emptying fast, and the shelves looked bare. Maya tugged her sleeve. "Mom, can we still get something?" "Of course, honey," Lisa said. "Maybe a blender." They walked slowly toward the small appliance section. But Lisa's mind was far away. Later that night, Lisa sat on her apartment couch. The room was small, 2 bedrooms, flickering heater, and a tiny tree she had bought from a thrift store. Eli was doing homework on the floor. Maya had fallen asleep with crayons still in her hand. Lisa stared at her phone screen. Her friend Tasha had texted, "Girl, you really let that TV go? You crazy. That man probably sells it on eBay." Lisa sighed. Maybe Tasha was right. She was tired of always being the nice one. Being nice didn't pay rent. She leaned back, eyes on the cracked ceiling. Her mind replayed the old man's face. Gentle, thankful, yet sad. Why had it stayed with her? Her phone buzzed again, a notification from the power company. Final notice. Final notice. Payment overdue. Lisa covered her face. God, please, she whispered. Just help me get through Christmas. The next morning, Lisa tied her apron at Betty's Corner Diner. It was the kind of place truck drivers and night nurses came to eat pancakes at 5 a.m. She poured coffee, wiped tables, smiled, even when her feet hurt. Her manager, Mike, a big guy with kind eyes, called from the counter, "Lisa, table 6 wants extra syrup." "Got it," she said, grabbing the bottle. A man in a suit sat near the window, typing on a laptop. Lisa refilled his coffee. "Busy day?" she asked. He smiled. "Black Friday weekend. Everyone's broke now." Lisa laughed softly. "You're not wrong." He glanced at her name tag. "Lisa, that's a nice name." She nodded politely. "Thanks. Enjoy your coffee." As she walked away, she felt the familiar ache in her back. This job barely covered rent. Sometimes she skipped lunch to make sure her kids had dinner. But still, she smiled. Because if she stopped smiling, she might break. That evening, Lisa picked up Eli and Maya from school. They wore second-hand coats, but they were clean and warm. "Guess what?" Eli said, grinning. "Our teacher said we'll have a Christmas play." Lisa's face lit up. "Really? That's great." Maya nodded. "I want to be a snowflake." Lisa laughed. "Then you'll be the prettiest one there." They stopped at a small grocery store. Lisa counted every dollar as she bought milk and cereal. Outside, a Salvation Army volunteer rang a bell beside a red bucket. Lisa dug into her pocket and dropped a single dollar. The man smiled. "Bless you, ma'am." She smiled back. "Merry Christmas." Eli looked up at her. "Mom, why do you always give even when we don't have much?" Lisa bent down and hugged him. Because someone out there might have even less, baby." The wind blew hard, carrying the smell of roasted chestnuts and snow. That night, as Lisa tucked Maya into bed, she noticed something unusual. A folded note slipped under her apartment door. She frowned, walked over, and picked it up. It wasn't a bill. It was a small envelope with her name written neatly. Inside was a $20 bill and a short message. "For your kindness at the store. Thank you." Her eyes widened. There was no signature. She looked out into the hallway empty. Her heart raced. Who would do that? Was it the old man? Eli peeked out from his room. "What's that, Mom?" Lisa quickly smiled. "Just something nice, I guess." She turned the note over. No address, no name, just those few words. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about that old man and how his eyes had shone when she gave up the TV. But she shook her head. "No," she whispered. "People don't just give back like that, do they?" Outside, snow kept falling. Quiet and endless. 2 days later, at the diner, Lisa was cleaning tables when Tasha walked in. "Girl," Tasha laughed, sliding into a booth. "You really made the news, huh?" Lisa frowned. "What news?" Tasha held up her phone. There was a local news headline. "Kind woman gives up last TV on Black Friday." A blurry photo showed Lisa's back as she helped the old man. Lisa gasped. "What? How did—" "Someone filmed it," Tasha said. "Look at the comments. People love you." Lisa scrolled through. Dozens of comments called her the woman with a golden heart, but not all were kind. Some said she was stupid for letting go of a deal. Others joked, "She probably regrets it now." Lisa sighed. "Great. Internet fame I didn't ask for." Tasha grinned. "Maybe someone rich will see it and send you a free TV." Lisa laughed. "Yeah, right. That only happens in movies." Still, that night, as she walked home under Christmas lights, a small part of her hoped Tasha was right. 3 days later, Lisa was late for work. The bus was full, windows fogged, people silent. Outside, the snow was thick and gray. When she finally reached the diner, a tall man in a long black coat was standing near the door. He looked out of place. Neat. Calm. Eyes sharp like he noticed everything. "Excuse me," he said as she passed. "Are you Lisa Brown?" She stopped. "Yes. Do I know you?" He smiled faintly. "Not yet. But someone asked me to find you." Lisa blinked. "Find me? Why?" He reached into his coat and handed her a small white envelope. "From a friend," he said. Before she could ask more, he walked away, disappearing into the snow. Her hands shook as she opened the envelope. Inside was a letter. "Dear Lisa, you don't know me, but I know kindness when I see it. Meet me at Harrison Park, tomorrow at 4 p.m. A grateful heart." Lisa stared at the letter, her heart pounding. Tasha, wiping the counter, noticed her face. "Girl, what now?" Lisa showed her the note. Tasha's eyes widened. "That sounds sketchy. Don't go." Lisa bit her lip. "Dharam, what if it's the old man? Or what if it's some scammer?" Lisa looked out the window at the falling snow. "I don't know," she said softly. "But I think I have to find out." The next day, Lisa left the diner early. She wore her best coat, the one she saved for church. She walked through the cold air toward Harrison Park. The sky was turning orange as the sun sank behind the city buildings. Snow crunched under her boots. At first, she saw no one. Then, near the frozen pond, she saw a figure sitting on a bench. It was him, the old man from the store. He looked smaller now, wrapped in a thick scarf. Lisa approached slowly. "Sir?" she said. He turned and smiled. "Lisa Brown. You came." Her heart leaped. "How do you know my name?" He chuckled softly. "It's been all over the internet." Lisa blushed. "Right. I didn't mean for that to happen." "I know," he said kindly. "But the world needs people like you." She sat beside him. "Why did you ask me to come here?" He looked out at the snow-covered park. "I wanted to thank you properly." She smiled, awkwardly. "You already did." He shook his head. "No, not enough." From his coat pocket, he pulled out a folded piece of paper and handed it to her. Lisa opened it a check. Her eyes widened. At $10,000. She froze. What is this?" "For you," he said simply. "For your kindness." Lisa's breath caught. "I can't take this." He smiled. "You already did the hard part, being kind when no one was watching." Tears filled her eyes. "Sir, I can't." He stood up slowly. "You can. And you will." She looked up at him, confused and overwhelmed. "Who are you?" she asked. He smiled, gently. "Just someone who believes good people deserve good things." Then he turned and walked away, leaving footprints that vanished into the snow. Lisa sat there, holding the check, her mind spinning. Was this real? Why her? The cold wind blew across the park, and she shivered. She looked down at the check again. His signature read only 2 words. Henry Cole. She whispered the name. Henry Cole. Lisa didn't know that name yet, but the whole city did. Because Henry Cole was not just an old man with kind eyes. He was someone whose story could change her life forever. But what happened next shocked everyone. Lisa sat frozen on the bench, her fingers gripping that check like it was something dangerous. Snowflakes gathered on her hair and melted slowly down her cheek. Henry Cole's name shimmered faintly in the fading light. Her heart pounded so fast she could barely breathe. $10,000. It didn't even feel real. She looked around the park again, but the old man was gone. Only his footprints remained, already filling with fresh snow. She stood up slowly, still holding the paper tight. Her hands trembled. Every step back home felt like walking through a dream she didn't trust. Cars passed with their headlights cutting through the snow, and somewhere in the distance, someone was playing Christmas music. Silent Night echoed faintly through the wind, but Lisa's mind was anything but silent. When she finally reached her apartment building, she stood at the door for a long time before entering. Inside, the warm air smelled of soup and laundry detergent. Eli and Maya ran to her. "Mom, you're back," Maya said, hugging her legs. Lisa knelt, hugging both kids tight. She wanted to tell them everything, but her voice caught. "Yeah, baby, Mommy's back." After tucking them into bed later, she sat at the small kitchen table and stared at the check under the yellow lamp. The paper looked too perfect, too rich for her little world. She whispered to herself. Is this a mistake? Is it even real? She opened her laptop, an old one that took 2 minutes just to turn on, and searched Henry Cole Chicago. Her eyes widened. There were news articles, business profiles, and charity stories. Henry Cole was a retired CEO of one of the biggest electronics companies in Illinois. A millionaire who donated to hospitals, schools, and shelters. Her stomach twisted. "Oh my God," she whispered. "That's who he was?" She covered her mouth in shock. The man she had given the last TV to wasn't just some stranger, he was someone powerful. She read one line twice. Known for quietly testing acts of kindness during the holidays. Her breath caught. Was she one of those stories now? The next morning, Lisa barely slept. She carried the check to the bank, still half expecting someone to laugh at her. The teller, a young man with glasses, looked at the paper carefully, then typed something on his screen. "This is valid," he said finally. "Would you like to deposit it? Or cash it?" Lisa swallowed hard. "Deposit, please." As he handed her the receipt, her hands shook. Her account balance had, the Privis, never shown that many zeros. She almost cried right there. On the way home, she stopped at the small coffee shop near her building. For once, she didn't just order a plain drip coffee, she got a caramel latte. The first treat she'd bought for herself in months. But when she sat by the window staring out at the falling snow, guilt crept in. She kept thinking of all the bills waiting at home, the rent due next week, the power bill, the kids' school shoes. $10,000 could change everything, but what if it came with strings she didn't understand? That night, she told Tasha. "Girl, are you serious?" Tasha gasped over the phone. "That's real money?" "Yes," Lisa said softly. "I checked. He's famous, a millionaire." "But why me?" "Because you were nice," Tasha said. "People record kindness tests all the time now. Maybe he's one of those good rich folks." Lisa sighed. "I don't know. It just feels too much. Like, maybe I don't deserve it." Tasha laughed. "Please. You've been busting your butt at that diner for years. You deserve every penny." Lisa smiled faintly, but said nothing. Deep down, something still felt unfinished. She wanted to thank him properly. Not just take his money and vanish. But she had no way to reach him. No address. No number. Nothing but that name. 2 days later, things started to change. The diner phone rang that morning, and Mike called her from the back. "Lisa, somebody asking for you." She walked over, wiping her hands on her apron. "Hello? Good morning, Miss Brown," a polite voice said. "I'm calling from the Henry Cole Foundation." Lisa's heart nearly stopped. "The Henry Cole Foundation?" "Yes, ma'am. Mr. Cole asked us to reach you. He'd like to invite you to a small Christmas charity event this weekend." "Me?" "Yes, you. He said he wanted to see you again." Her throat tightened. I don't know what to say." "Just say yes, ma'am. We'll send a car to pick you up Saturday at 5 p.m. When the call ended, Lisa stood there frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear. Mike stared at her. "Everything okay?" She nodded slowly. I just got invited to something crazy." That evening, she told Eli and Maya, "We're going to a Christmas party, okay?" "Really?" Maya squealed. "Like a fancy one?" "Maybe," Lisa said, smiling. "So we need to look nice." They spent the next few days preparing. Lisa bought a simple red dress from a thrift store and borrowed a pair of black heels from Tasha. She even bought Eli a little tie, and Maya a white dress with sparkles. Saturday came too fast. At exactly 5, a black car stopped outside their building. The driver stepped out in a suit and opened the door. "Miss Brown?" "Yes," Lisa said nervously. "Mr. Cole is expecting you." The ride was quiet except for the sound of the heater and Christmas music on the radio. The city lights reflected off the car windows as they drove toward the north side, where houses looked like something from magazines. When they arrived, Lisa couldn't believe her eyes. The Cole mansion was huge, glowing with golden lights and covered in snow. Guests in coats and dresses walked up the stairs, laughter echoing through the night. Lisa held Eli's hand tighter. "Stay close, okay?" Inside, everything sparkled: crystal chandeliers, polished marble floors, a Christmas tree taller than their whole apartment. Waiters walked around with trays of appetizers and hot cocoa for the kids. Lisa felt completely out of place. She tried to hide near the corner, watching people laugh and greet each other. Then she heard a familiar voice. "Lisa." She turned. Henry Cole stood there, smiling warmly. He looked different now. Clean suit, shiny shoes, but still, the same gentle eyes. "Mr. Cole," she said softly. "I didn't think I'd see you again." "Well," he chuckled. I couldn't let the woman who restored my faith and kindness disappear that easily." She blushed. "You didn't have to do all this." The check was already too much. "What you gave me was hope." Lisa's eyes glistened. "Hope?" "Yes," he said, looking at the crowd. "You see all these people? 2. I used to think success meant never having to stand in a Black Friday line again, but I was wrong. That day, when you gave up the last TV, I realized something I'd forgotten: what simple goodness looked like." She lowered her gaze. "I just thought you needed it more than I did." He smiled. "And that's why you deserve it more than anyone." Then he turned to his assistant. "Bring it out." Lisa looked confused as 2 men rolled in a covered object. When they removed the cloth, she gasped. It was the exact same 50-inch TV model she had given up. "This one's yours," Henry said with a wink. Eli's eyes widened. "Mom, it's the same one!" Lisa covered her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Mr. Cole, I thank you, but I can't accept more." He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You can, and you will. Because kindness deserves to be celebrated, not punished." The room went silent. People watched. smiling. Someone even clapped softly. Lisa wiped her tears. I don't know what to say. Henry smiled. Say you'll join us for dinner. That night, Lisa sat at the long dining table, surrounded by people who had been strangers an hour ago. Laughter filled the air, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel small or invisible. After dinner, Henry stood and raised a glass. I want to tell you all about someone special, he said. A woman who reminded me that even in the rush of the world, kindness still exists. Lisa Brown. Everyone applauded. Lisa's face turned red, but she smiled shyly. Henry continued. This season, our foundation will be launching a program in her name, the Lisa Brown Kindness Grant, to help single parents during the holidays. Lisa froze, tears instantly flooding her eyes. What? Henry nodded. You inspired it. We'll help families who need a little hope. Just like you helped me remember what hope feels like. The crowd cheered. Eli hugged her tight. Mom, that's your name. Lisa could barely speak. Thank you. Thank you so much. After the event, as guests began to leave, Henry walked her out to the car. Snow was falling again. Softly this time. I meant every word, he said quietly. You changed something in me that night. Lisa smiled through her tears. You changed something in me too. For the first time, I feel seen. He nodded. And you should. Don't ever stop being who you are, Lisa. They shook hands, and she got into the car, holding the kids close as they drove away. Through the window, she watched the mansion lights fade into the snowy dark. But when she reached home, another surprise waited. A large box sat by her apartment door with a tag that said, From Henry Cole. Inside was not just the TV, but boxes of groceries, toys for the kids, and a letter. Lisa opened it, her eyes scanning the neat handwriting. Dear Lisa, you reminded me what real wealth means. It's not the number in a bank, it's the ability to give without expecting. This is just the beginning. Someone from my foundation will reach out soon. I want you to help us find families like yours. I believe you're the best person for the job. Her hands shook. She looked around her small apartment, then at her children's sleeping faces. Could this be real? A job? A new beginning? The next morning, her phone rang again. Miss Brown? This is Clara from the Henry Cole Foundation. Mr. Cole asked if you'd consider joining our community outreach team. Lisa gasped. You mean, work with you? Yes, ma'am, part-time at first. We'll handle training, Mr. Cole said. You have the heart we need. Lisa sat on the couch, tears streaming silently. Yes, she said. Yes, I'll do it. When she hung up, she laughed and cried all at once. She called Tasha right away. You won't believe this. Oh, I believe it, girl, Tasha said, screaming into the phone. That's your miracle. Over the next few weeks, everything began to change. Lisa started working with the foundation, helping deliver food and gifts to struggling families. She learned how to organize drives, write letters, and manage donations. For the first time, her days felt full of purpose instead of just survival. One evening, she and Eli helped a family move into temporary housing. As they left, Eli looked up at her. Mom, that lady cried when you gave her the food box. Lisa smiled softly. Sometimes kindness makes people cry, baby. Not because they're sad, but because they remember someone cares. Eli nodded. You're like Mr. Cole now. Lisa's eyes softened. Maybe, but really, I'm just trying to pass it on. As Christmas Eve arrived, their little apartment looked different too. The new TV hung on the wall, the lights twinkled on a bigger tree, and laughter filled the rooms. Lisa sat by the window that night, watching snow fall outside. For the first time, She didn't feel tired. She felt grateful. But she couldn't shake one question. Why had Henry Cole really been at that Walmart? There had to be more to his story. A week later, while working at the foundation office, she found an old framed photo on a shelf. It showed a younger Henry with a woman and a little girl. Lisa looked closer. The girl had curly hair and a big smile. The caption read, "In memory of Emily Cole, 1995, 2014. Her heart ached. She realized the truth. His daughter would have been around her own age now. Maybe that was why her kindness touched him so deeply. She reminded him of someone he'd lost. That evening, she wrote Henry a letter. "Dear Mr. Cole, I finally understand. I didn't just give up a TV that day. I gave you a memory of something pure. The kind of love that doesn't ask for anything back. Thank you for believing in me. You didn't just change my life, you changed how I see life." She mailed it the next morning, smiling as she dropped it into the blue box. A few days later, Henry called her. His voice was soft but full of warmth. "Lisa, that letter. Thank you. You're right. My daughter Emily used to love Black Friday. She'd always tell me, 'Dad, be kind even when no one's watching.' That day, I heard her voice again through you." Lisa's eyes filled with tears. "She'd be proud of you. And she'd be proud of you," Henry said, "because you reminded me her message still lives on." After that call, Lisa sat quietly for a long time. Life had changed so fast. Her job, her hope, her sense of worth. But one thing stayed the same. Her belief that kindness matters. By New Year's, the Lisa Brown Kindness Grant helped 40 families across Chicago. The local news ran a story about it, calling her the woman who turned generosity into a movement. Lisa laughed softly. "Yeah, baby, that's us." Outside, fireworks burst over the city. Eli put his arm around his sister. "Mom, do you think Mr. Cole's watching too?" Lisa smiled. "I think so. And I think he's proud." The screen faded to the night skyline, glowing gold against the snow. But what happened next would take Lisa's story even further. Because kindness doesn't just come back once, it keeps finding you when you least expect it. Snow had started melting across Chicago. The streets were wet and shiny under the late winter sun. Lisa Brown walked out of the Henry Cole Foundation office with a small box of files in her arms. It had been 3 months since that Black Friday moment that changed everything. 3 months since the world taught her that kindness could echo louder than struggle. Her life looked different now. The foundation's office, once a place she visited with nervous hands, had become her second home. She had her own small desk, a nameplate that said, "Community Outreach Coordinator," and pictures of her kids taped near the monitor. "Lisa, you heading out?" Clara, her coworker, called from across the room. "Yeah," Lisa said, smiling. "I promised Eli I'd be at his game." "Go, Supermom," Clara teased. Lisa laughed and waved, stepping into the crisp evening air. Her car wasn't new, just a used Toyota Henry's Foundation helped her get. But it started without fail. That alone still made her smile. She turned on the radio. A familiar jingle played the local news. The anchor's voice filled the car. The Lisa Brown Kindness Grant continues to help families across Illinois, now expanding to other states. Lisa shook, her head with a laugh. "That's crazy," she whispered. "That's really my name, they're saying." At the school gym, parents filled the bleachers, cheering. She spotted Eli waving from the basketball court, his face bright with excitement. Maya sat beside her, eating popcorn. When the buzzer sounded and Eli's team won, Lisa clapped so hard her hands hurt. For once, life felt simple again. Safe. After the game, as they walked to the parking lot, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hello?" she answered. "Lisa?" The voice was faint, older, familiar. She froze. "Mr. Cole?" "Yes," he said with a soft chuckle. "It's been a while." Her heart warmed instantly. "I was just thinking about you last week. How are you?" There was a pause before he spoke again. "I'm fine. Mostly. But I was wondering if you could come by the house sometime soon. There's something I'd like to discuss." "Of course," Lisa said. "Is everything all right?" He laughed, quietly. "It will be. Once I see you." They hung up, but her heart felt strange, like something important was about to happen. The next day, she baked banana bread. The kind Henry once said reminded him of his wife. She packed it carefully and took a taxi to his mansion. The place looked quieter than before. No party lights, no fancy cars. Just stillness. The butler, James, opened the door and smiled. "Good afternoon, Miss Brown. He's been waiting for you." Henry sat in his library, surrounded by old books and photographs. He looked weaker, paler. His hands trembled slightly as he poured tea. "Lisa," he said warmly. "You came." "Of course I did," she said, setting the bread down. "You sound tired. Are you okay?" He smiled faintly. "Doctors call it age. I call it slowing down." Lisa sat beside him. "You've been pushing too hard, haven't you? Clara said you've been at the foundation every day." He chuckled. "Can't help it. It gives me purpose, but there's something I've been meaning to tell you." Lisa frowned. "What is it?" He looked at her, his eyes kind but heavy with meaning. "When I saw you that day at Walmart, I wasn't just testing kindness. I was testing faith." "Faith?" "Yes," he said softly. "I'd lost mine. After Emily died, I stopped believing in goodness. I stopped believing that the world could still surprise me." Lisa's throat tightened. "I saw her picture. She was beautiful." He smiled sadly. "She was my world. After she passed, I built this foundation, but it felt empty. All the donations, all the smiles, none of it reached me anymore. Until that night, when you looked at me and said, 'You can take it.' You reminded me of her. She used to say that too." Lisa's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know. I just did what felt right. And that's why it mattered." Henry said, "You acted without knowing. That's the rarest kind of kindness." They sat in silence for a moment. The fire crackled softly. Then, Henry reached for a folder on the table and handed it to her. "This is for you." Lisa frowned, opening it slowly. Inside were documents, legal ones. The top page read, "Foundation Co-Director, Lisa Brown." Her breath caught. "Mr. Cole, what is this?" He smiled. "You've done more in 3 months than most people do in years. You see people the way I used to. I want you to lead when I no longer can." Her eyes widened. "No, I can't. I'm not." "You are," he interrupted gently. "You're exactly the person this foundation needs." Tears ran down her cheeks. "I don't know what to say." He reached out and squeezed her hand weakly. "Just promise me something. Keep doing it your way. Don't let the world make you hard." Lisa nodded through her tears. "I promise." As she left the mansion that day, the sky looked brighter, almost gold, but something inside her felt heavy. She knew what Henry wasn't saying. His voice had a finality to it, like he was preparing her for something she didn't want to face. The following weeks were busy. The foundation grew rapidly. They started partnerships with local schools and hospitals. Newspapers called Lisa the face of hope. She even appeared on a morning TV show where the host asked, "How does it feel to be America's kindest woman?" Lisa laughed awkwardly and said, "Honestly, I'm just trying to be human." But deep down, she missed Henry's guidance. His calls became less frequent. Sometimes, Clara said, "He's resting." Other times, "He's at the hospital for tests." One cold afternoon in March, Lisa got a message while driving home. "Mr. Cole, in hospital. Condition serious." Her heart dropped. She turned the car around without thinking. At St. Mary's Hospital, she ran through the halls, her breath fogging in the cold air. She found his room, dim lights, machines beeping slowly. Henry looked. He's smaller now, his voice a whisper. "Lisa, you came." "Of course I came," she said, gripping his hand. "You scared me." He smiled faintly. "I'm not scared anymore." "Don't say that," she whispered. He took a deep breath. "Do you remember what I told you? About faith?" "Yes." "Keep it," he said softly, "because the world will try to take it from you." Lisa felt tears streaming down. "You're going to be fine. You have to be." He squeezed her hand gently. "Promise me one more thing. Anything. Don't stop believing that one act of kindness can change everything." "And it will for others." Lisa leaned close, whispering, "I promise." Henry smiled one last time. "Good." Then he closed his eyes. The monitor's steady beep slowed. Lisa's heart broke silently as the nurse rushed in. 2 hours later, she sat alone in the hospital chapel, hands shaking. The weight of loss pressed on her chest. Henry Cole, man who gave her everything, was gone. But even in her tears, she heard his words echo. "Keep it. Don't let the world make you hard." The following week, the city mourned him. News anchors spoke of his generosity, his legacy, and the mysterious woman who changed his final months. Reporters called, foundations sent letters, and everyone wanted quotes from Lisa Brown. At the funeral, she stood quietly in a black dress, holding Maya's hand. Eli stood beside her, eyes red. The church was full of people, politicians, business owners, community leaders. But when the pastor asked if anyone wanted to say a few words, silence filled the room. Lisa stepped forward slowly. "I didn't know Mr. Cole for very long," she said, her voice trembling. "But he knew how to see people. He didn't just give, he listened. He believed kindness was strength, not weakness. And he proved that even one small act can start a wave that never stops." People wiped their eyes. Some nodded. Others clapped softly when she finished. After the service, Henry's lawyer approached her with an envelope. "Mr. Cole left this for you. Said to give it after the funeral." Lisa opened it later that night at home. Inside was a handwritten note and a key. "Dear Lisa, if you're reading this, I've gone where Emily is waiting. But don't be sad. I've left something for you at my old cabin by Lake Willows. You'll know what to do when you see it." Her tears fell on the page. She had no idea what the cabin was, but she knew she had to go. The next weekend, she drove out of the city with Eli and Maya. The road curved through pine trees and open fields. When they reached the lake, the sun was setting in gold and pink colors. The cabin stood near the water, small and quiet. Inside, everything smelled like cedar and old books. Dust floated in the air like glitter. A small box sat on the wooden table with her name written on it. Lisa opened it slowly. Inside were letters, dozens of them, each addressed to different people. On top was one for her. "Lisa, you were my final lesson. For years I gave to strangers, but I forgot what it meant to connect. You reminded me. Inside this box are funds to help others, like you single parents. Dreamers. Good souls fighting the storm. I've left you in charge. Trust yourself. You'll do great things. P.S. There's something under the floorboard by the window. For you and the kids. Lisa knelt down, lifted a loose board, and gasped. There was a small safe. Inside, stacks of bills, about $50,000, and an envelope labeled Home. Inside that envelope was a property deed. Her apartment address. Paid in full. She fell to her knees, sobbing. Eli rushed to her. Mom, what is it? She hugged them both tightly. It's everything, baby. He made sure we'll never struggle again. They spent that night at the cabin, lighting the fireplace and making cocoa. Maya fell asleep against her shoulder. Eli stared at the flames. Mom, why do you think he chose you? Lisa looked into the fire. Maybe because sometimes, when life takes everything from you, it's showing you how to give. Eli nodded thoughtfully. So kindness really comes back? She smiled. Always. Maybe not right away, but it always does. The next morning, sunlight filled the cabin. Birds sang outside, the lake shimmering like glass. Lisa stood by the window, holding Henry's final letter again. She whispered, "Thank you," and meant it with her whole heart. Over the next months, the foundation grew into something bigger. The Cole Brown Hope Project. Lisa became its face, not because she was famous, but because people trusted her. She visited schools, shelters, hospitals, any place where hope felt thin. At every event, she told her story, but never to boast. Always to remind people that kindness still mattered. She'd say, "You never know who's watching. You never know how one small act can ripple through the world." And every time, people would listen. Eyes wet. Hearts stirred. One night, while closing the office, Lisa found an email in her inbox. Subject, "Thank you for saving me." It was from a woman named Carla. "I was at Walmart that same Black Friday. I was behind you in line. Watching you give up, that TV stopped me from doing something stupid that night. I'd lost my job and thought life was over. Seeing you reminded me there's still goodness out there. Now I volunteer with your foundation. Thank you." Lisa stared at the screen, tears filling her eyes. She whispered, "You see, Henry? It's still working." Life had come full circle. From a woman who could barely afford a TV to someone helping thousands. From a stranger's kindness to a lifetime of giving. As she locked the office door and walked to her car, she felt something gentle. Inside her chest, a calm warmth, the same feeling she had that day in the store. Kindness wasn't just a moment. It was a way of living. But little did she know, one more twist was waiting for her, one that would bring Henry's story, and hers, to the most powerful ending yet. Because sometimes, the people we lose don't really leave. They just pass the torch to us and watch from the light above, smiling. And what happened next would prove that even after goodbye, kindness keeps writing its own story. Spring returned to Chicago with soft rain and early sunlight. The snow was gone, but traces of winter still lingered on rooftops and in people's breath. The Henry Cole Foundation had grown bigger, brighter, and busier. Lisa's office had moved upstairs now, with windows overlooking the street where kids played jump rope and buses hissed to stops. She had a rhythm now: morning coffee, school drop-offs, meetings, and calls. Every week brought a new story, another family. It lifted from the edge. The work gave her meaning, but it also gave her something deeper: peace. Still, some nights, when the city quieted, she missed Henry's voice. The old man's laugh, the way he said, "Keep your faith," still echoed in her head. Sometimes she'd glance at his picture on her desk, whispering, I hope I'm doing it right, Mr. Cole. One morning, while checking emails, she noticed one that made her pause. The subject read, "Application for emergency help urgent." The sender's name was Renee Parker. Lisa clicked. The message was short, but full of pain. "Dear Foundation, I don't know who else to ask. I'm a single mother. My son's surgery got delayed because I lost my job and can't pay the bills. I've been sleeping in my car for 2 nights. Please help me." Lisa stared at the screen, her chest tightening. She remembered nights when she'd cried in the dark, wondering if her kindness was weakness. She knew exactly how this woman felt. She called Clara immediately. "Can you pull Renee Parker's file?" A few minutes later, Clara returned. "She lives in Joliet. We don't have much, just that she used to work at a grocery store, got laid off, and her son's got a heart condition. No one's been able to reach her phone since yesterday." Lisa grabbed her keys. "I'll go find her." Clara blinked. "You sure? That's an hour's drive." "I'm sure," Lisa said. "If Henry taught me one thing, it's that some help can't wait for forms." The road stretched long and gray as she drove out of the city. Rain fell in thin sheets, blurring the windshield. She kept thinking of the woman's message, the desperation between each word. When she reached Joliet, she stopped at a gas station and asked the clerk, "Do you know a woman named Renee Parker?" The man frowned, then nodded slowly. "Yeah. She's been around here lately. Red car, parked behind the old warehouse down the road." Lisa's heart ached. "Thank you." She drove there, turned behind the building, and saw it an old sedan with fogged windows. A woman sat inside, hugging a blanket, a small boy asleep beside her. Lisa parked, stepped out into the drizzle, and tapped gently on the window. The woman startled awake, eyes wide with fear. "Hi," Lisa said softly. "I'm Lisa Brown. From the Cole Foundation. You wrote to us." The woman blinked, her lips trembling. "You came?" "Of course," Lisa said. "Can I sit?" Renee nodded slowly. Lisa opened the passenger door and slid in. The car smelled of rain and stale coffee. The little boy stirred, clutching a worn teddy bear. Lisa looked around, her heart breaking. "How long have you been here?" "Since Tuesday," Renee whispered. "I tried to get help, but the shelters are full. I didn't want to bother anyone." "You're not bothering anyone," Lisa said gently. "You're surviving." Renee's eyes filled with tears. "My son, Eli, he needs surgery for his heart. I was saving up, but I lost my job when the store closed. I just wanted one good Christmas for him, but everything fell apart." Lisa swallowed hard. "Your son's name is Eli?" Renee nodded. Lisa smiled softly. "That's my boy's name too." They both laughed a little, through tears. Lisa reached into her bag and handed her an envelope. "Here. It's not everything, but it'll get you a hotel for the week and food. We'll handle the rest through the foundation." Renee shook her head. "I can't accept this." "Yes, you can," Lisa said. "Because I did once, and it changed my life." Renee stared at her, confused. Lisa told her everything. The Black Friday night, Henry Cole, the TV, the letter, the check, the job. Every detail spilled out like a story written by fate. By the end, Renee's tears had turned into soft laughter. "That sounds like something from a movie." Lisa smiled. It felt like one, but it was real, just like this. They sat quietly for a moment, the rain tapping gently on the roof. Lisa turned to her. "You know what I learned? You can lose everything, and still have something left to give. That's what kindness is. It's the last light that doesn't go out." Renee nodded, her hands trembling. "Thank you. I thought no one cared anymore." Lisa squeezed her hand. Someone always does. You just have to hold on until they find you. By evening, she had arranged for Renee and her son to stay at a small motel near the hospital. The foundation would cover the medical bills and connect her with a new job once she recovered. As Lisa drove back home that night, she couldn't stop smiling. The feeling in her chest was the same one she'd felt in that Walmart years ago. The quiet warmth of doing something good. Something that mattered. When she got home, her own Eli and Maya were waiting. "You're late," Maya said, crossing her arms. Lisa laughed and knelt down. "Sorry, baby. I had to help someone today." Eli grinned. "You always do." Lisa hugged them tight. "Sorry. One day, you will too." That night, after tucking them into bed, she sat by the window again, the same spot where she used to pray for miracles. The city lights flickered below, and she whispered, "I think you'd be proud, Mr. Cole." The next morning, when she arrived at the foundation, something unexpected was waiting. Reporters. Cameras. A crowd outside the building. Clara ran up, breathless. "Lisa, they're here for you." "What? Why?" "They found out about what you did yesterday. The woman in the car. Someone recorded it. It's all over social media. People are calling you the modern angel of Chicago." Lisa blinked, stunned. "Oh no, I didn't want." Clara smiled. "Too late. You're trending." Reporters surrounded her as she tried to walk inside. "Lisa, how does it feel to pay kindness forward? Is this what Mr. Cole wanted you to do? What message do you have for people watching?" Lisa raised her hands, trying to calm the noise. "Please," she said softly. "I'm no angel. I'm just someone who got lucky enough to be shown love at the right time." The cameras quieted. She continued, her voice steady but emotional. "I didn't give up that TV years ago because I wanted to be famous. I did it because I thought someone else needed it more. I was wrong, turns out. I needed that moment more than anyone. Because it taught me something money can't buy. Compassion. If you have it, you already have everything." The crowd clapped. Some people cried. The story aired that night on every local station, and for a week, people all over the country shared her video, saying, "This woman gives me hope again." But Lisa stayed humble. She went back to work, back to the field visits, back to being the same woman who once stood in a Walmart line with empty pockets but a full heart. A few months later, summer arrived. The city buzzed with festivals, parades, and laughter. The foundation had expanded to 2 more states, and Lisa spent her days traveling, helping new volunteers learn how to connect with people. On one of those trips, she visited a school in Detroit where the Cole Brown Project funded free meals. The principal introduced her to the kids. "Everyone, this is Miss Lisa Brown. She's the reason you have these lunches every day." The children clapped, but one small girl raised her hand. "Miss Brown, why do you help people you don't know?" Lisa smiled gently. "Because once, someone I didn't know helped me." The girl tilted her head. "And did that make you happy?" Lisa nodded. "It made me whole." Later that evening, as she left the school, she stood outside, watching the sunset glow across the sky. She remembered Henry's words, "Don't let the world make you hard." And she smiled because she finally understood they weren't just advice. They were a legacy. As she got back into her car, her phone buzzed. It was an email from a donor, a young man from New York, who said her story inspired him to start a kindness fund in his city. Lisa smiled, whispering to herself, "The wave's still going." That night, back at the hotel, she dreamt of Henry and Emily standing by the lake, both smiling. When she woke up, her heart was light. Weeks passed, and summer slowly turned to fall. The air carried the smell of roasted corn and street coffee. Chicago glowed again under the orange sunset. The Cole Brown Foundation had become a name people trusted, not because of money, but because of stories. Real ones. Lisa never got used to the attention. Every time someone recognized her on the street and said, "You're the woman from the kindness story," she'd smile humbly and say, "I'm just Lisa." Her kids had grown too. Eli was now 13, taller, his voice deeper. Maya had turned 9 and loved to draw. Sometimes she drew pictures of her mom shaking hands with people under a big sign that said, "Hope lives here." Lisa kept those drawings pinned on her wall. One Sunday afternoon, she was hosting a small community picnic for local families. Music played, kids ran around with balloons, and volunteers handed out food boxes. Lisa stood by the table pouring lemonade when she saw a familiar face approaching Renee. She gasped, "Renee, you look amazing." Renee hugged her tightly, tears in her eyes. "You saved me, Lisa. My son's surgery went perfectly. He's healthy, he's back in school, and I just got a new job at a daycare." Lisa smiled, her heart full. "I didn't save you, Renee. You saved yourself. I just gave you a push." Renee laughed softly. "Still, I'll never forget what you did. You gave me back my life." Just then, a little boy ran up, the same child Lisa had seen asleep in that cold car months ago. He looked stronger now, his cheeks rosy, eyes bright. "Hi, miss. Lisa." Lisa knelt down, smiling. "Hi, buddy. How are you feeling?" "I can run now," he said proudly, showing his sneakers. Lisa laughed, tears sparkling in her eyes. "That's wonderful, sweetheart." Renee watched her son run off to play. "I think you were right," she said quietly. "Kindness really does come back." Lisa nodded. Every single time. As the sun began to set, music faded, and the crowd gathered around a small wooden stage. Clara stepped up to the mic. "Before we end today, we want to honor someone special, the woman who started all this. The woman who turned one act of kindness into a movement. Lisa Brown." The crowd clapped. Lisa walked to the stage, smiling shyly, waving at familiar faces. Single mothers, volunteers, old couples, children laughing. She took the microphone, her voice soft but steady. "I've told this story before, but every time feels new. Years ago, I gave up a TV on Black Friday. It sounds small, I know. But that night, I learned something that changed my life. I learned that kindness isn't about wealth. It's about choice. Every single day, we get to choose who we are." She looked at the crowd, emotion in her eyes. "Henry Cole once told me not to let the world make me hard. And I've tried to live by that. Because the truth is, the world can be rough. It can break you, make you tired, make you want to stop caring. But if you hold on to kindness, even when it hurts, life finds a way to reward you." The crowd clapped softly, tears shining everywhere. Lisa smiled, stepping down as people hugged her and thanked her. Renee whispered, "You changed the way I see life." Later that night, when the crowd was gone, and the park stood quiet under the city lights, Lisa sat on a bench, staring up at the stars. The night air was cool, calm. The fountain nearby glowed blue. She whispered, "We did it, Mr. Cole. You'd be proud." A soft wind blew, brushing her hair, and for a second, she almost felt like someone was sitting beside her, that gentle, fatherly presence she missed. The next morning, she received a letter in the mail. It was from an attorney she didn't know. Inside was a legal document and a note. "Dear Miss Brown, per Mr. Cole's final estate plan, a trust fund has matured this year. He requested it be delivered to you exactly 2 years after his passing. The trust includes a portion reserved for your children's education, and another for future foundation growth. He called it the Ripple Fund. Lisa covered her mouth, tears forming instantly. She whispered, "You thought of everything." She called her kids into the living room. "Guess what? Mr. Cole left something for us. For your future." Eli frowned. "Why would he do that?" Lisa smiled. "Because that's what good people do. They keep giving. Even when they're gone." Maya climbed onto her lap. "Like you, Mom." Lisa hugged her tight. "Like all of us, baby." The days rolled on, and the foundation kept growing. They opened new branches in Detroit, Atlanta, and Dallas. Lisa's days were full of travel and meetings, but she never lost her humility. She still stopped to talk to people on the street, still donated quietly to neighbors, still bought coffee for strangers. One chilly November morning, a man walked into the foundation office, asking to see her. He was young, maybe late 20s, wearing a delivery uniform. He held a small brown box. "Miss Brown?" he asked. "Yes. This was left for you at the Cole cabin. They said it was part of the late Mr. Cole's personal belongings. I was told to bring it here." Lisa took the box, her hands trembling. It was small, wooden, carved with initials, H.C. She opened it slowly. Inside was a simple silver pocket watch. On the back, engraved words glimmered faintly. "Time is the only thing we truly own. Use it to love." Lisa's eyes filled instantly. She turned the watch over and pressed it to her chest. That evening, she sat in her office alone, watching the city lights blink outside. She wound the watch and listened to its steady ticking. Each sound felt like Henry's voice reminding her, keep going, keep giving, keep believing. Weeks later, near Christmas, Lisa decided to do something new. She gathered her kids and the staff and said, "This year, we're not just giving gifts. We're giving people a reason to hope again." So they started a project called the 100 Acts of Kindness Challenge. The idea was simple. Each volunteer had to do one small act of kindness and pass it forward. No cameras, no fame, just heart. It spread faster than anyone expected. Schools joined, companies joined, even news anchors started sharing it on TV. Hashtags flooded social media. Kindness lives here. One afternoon, Lisa visited a local high school to talk about the challenge. A girl raised her hand and asked, "Do you ever get tired of being kind?" Lisa smiled. "Sometimes. But then I remember kindness saved my life. How can I ever get tired of that?" The students clapped, inspired. After the event, as she walked to her car, an older janitor stopped her. "Miss Brown?" "Yes?" He smiled shyly. "You don't know me, but I knew Mr. Cole. I used to clean his office. He talked about you all the time near the end. Said you reminded him of his daughter." Lisa froze, her eyes wet. "He told me about her." The man nodded. "He said you gave him peace. Said when you smiled at him that night, it was like she came back to say goodbye." Lisa covered her mouth, overwhelmed. The janitor placed a hand on her shoulder. "He loved you like family, ma'am." That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She sat by her window, snow falling softly outside, and thought about how far she'd come. From struggling waitress to foundation director. From hopeless to hopeful. All because she chose kindness when no one was watching. The next day, she visited Henry's grave with her children. The stone was simple, engraved with words he had once said, "Kindness is the only thing worth leaving behind." Lisa knelt, placing fresh flowers beside it. "I kept the promise," she whispered, "and I'll keep it forever." Eli placed the pocket watch on the headstone gently. "For you, Mr. Cole." Maya smiled. "We love you." The wind moved softly, almost like a reply. Months later, on the anniversary of the foundation, the city of Chicago organized a ceremony to honor the Cole Brown Project. The mayor stood on stage with a wide grin. Today, we name this day Kindness Day, in memory of Henry Cole and in celebration of Lisa Brown, whose actions changed the way we see giving. The crowd roared with applause. Lisa stepped up, emotional. She looked out at thousands of faces. Some she knew, most she didn't, but all connected by one thing: hope. She took a deep breath and spoke from her heart. When I was struggling, I thought kindness was something rich people could afford. I was wrong. It's something all of us can afford. Every time we choose compassion, we're changing the world in ways we may never see. But they matter. They always matter. Her voice cracked with emotion. If you remember anything from me, let it be this: never let the world make you hard. And never believe that small acts don't count. Because I promise you, they do. The crowd stood, cheering. Cameras flashed, people cried. After the event, she walked to her car quietly. A little girl ran up holding a drawing. "Miss Lisa, I made this for you." Lisa knelt down. The picture showed a smiling woman, handing a TV to an old man under a big heart. Lisa's breath caught. "That's beautiful. Thank you." The girl giggled. "My mom said you're a hero." Lisa smiled warmly. "No, sweetie. I'm just someone who remembered to care." She got into her car, resting the drawing on the seat. As she drove through the glowing city streets, she thought about the full circle her life had made from that cold night at Walmart to this moment under the city lights. Sometimes she wondered how different life would be if she had taken that TV instead. Maybe she'd still be working late shifts, still praying for miracles. But now she understood the miracle was never the money, or the fame, or the mansion. It was the moment she chose love over greed. As the car stopped at a red light, she saw a man outside shivering in the cold, holding a cardboard sign that read, "Hungry. Anything helps." Without a thought, Lisa rolled down her window and handed him her lunch. The man smiled weakly. "God bless you, ma'am." Lisa smiled back. "He already has." The light turned green. She drove off, her heart warm, her eyes full of tears, the good kind. At home that night, she tucked Maya and Eli into bed, turned off the lights, and stood by the window one last time. The city shimmered outside, full of life, full of people she'd never meet but somehow already loved. She whispered into the night, "Thank you, Henry, for believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself." And maybe somewhere beyond the stars, an old man smiled, proud that his simple act of kindness had started something far bigger than he ever imagined. Because in the end, the story wasn't about a TV, or a check, or a foundation. It was about people broken, hopeful, human choosing to be good even when it's hard. And that's how kindness keeps the world alive. So if you're watching this, remember, it doesn't take much to change someone's day. Sometimes, it just takes you. If this story touched your heart, don't let it end here. Share kindness today. Subscribe for more stories that remind us goodness still wins.